Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, this world has seen its share of kings, queens, emperors, leaders of the most prestigious levels known to man. But every now and then there arises or there emerges an extraordinary but ordinary individual claiming no particular title of his own, no throne or level of superiority for himself, and is able to capture or embody within him all of the qualities of the great world leaders that we know. Much like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he said subhanahu wa ta'ala, Inna Ibrahim kana ummatan qanitan lillahi hanifan wa lam yakun min al-mushrikeen. That indeed Ibrahim was an ummah. Inna Ibrahim kana ummatan. That indeed Ibrahim was a ummah. Ibrahim, one man, was a community, was a nation, all by himself. Carried within him all of the qualities, embodied within himself all of the qualities that would take many people years, generations to develop and may still never reach the quality of great men. But you will find all of that embodied in one individual, Ibrahim alayhi salam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam alluded to this when he said alayhi salatu wa salam, لقد كان فيما قبلكم من الأمم محدثون فإن يكن في أمتي أحد فإنه عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that in the communities that came before and the nations that came before, there were what's called محدثون. محدثون يعني أناس أو الرجل الصادق في أمتي. الرجل الصادق الذي يجري الصواب على لسانه من غير قصد ولا نية. وقيل الذي يتكلمون من غير أن ينزل عليهم من غير أن يكونوا أنبياء. The Prophet ﷺ said that in the nations that came before, there were what's called individuals that were muhaddathun. These were brutally honest individuals who truth would come off of their tongue even though they didn't have any intention on speaking the truth. Truth would roll off of their tongues without any intention, without any qasd, without any intention. He said, and if there was anyone in my ummah that fits this quality, it was none other than Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. That there was, in the nations that came before, in the communities that came before, there were muhaddithuna, people who used to speak truth, honest, brutal truth, and no revelation came to them. They were not prophets. These were individuals who just spoke brutal honesty, no matter where they were. He said, and if there was anyone from amongst my ummah that fit that quality, then it was Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Umar ibn al-Khattab, Abu Hafs, the man of men, someone who the Prophet ﷺ saw as an asset to Islam in the early Muslim community. Even before Umar himself realized his own greatness, the Prophet ﷺ supplicated for his conversion to Islam, as he did with many non-Muslims. Unlike what you find with many of us today, we might see non-Muslims, and because we look at them with such disdain, we can't see the greatness, we can't see the goodness in them. It was from the great qualities of a leader to look at people and to see the greatness in them even before they see the greatness within themselves. That is what makes a person a good leader. Not that the person looks down on people or looks at people with disdain, so much so that you can't even find any good in people. And the Prophet ﷺ said about people who see the world in this manner, he said, "Man qala halaka an-nas fahuwa ahlakahum." That whoever says that there is no good in people, then he is in fact the one that there is no good in. Because if you can't look out into the world and see greatness in people, if you can't sift through people and actually see greatness in people, then there's something wrong with you, not something wrong with the people. You are that pessimistic that you can't see any good in anybody. Some of us see our children the same way. We look at our children and they make mistakes, and we begin to believe that there's no good in this child. This child can do no good. We do it into our marriages, that our spouses may make mistakes as it relates to how we want to be treated in our relationships. And we may begin to look at our spouse, whether husband looking at his wife or whether wife looking at her husband, as if there's no good in you. You are never going to be any good. SubhanAllah, some parents tell their children this. You're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to be anything. You're going to end up just like your father. You're going to end up just like your uncle. These are the things that we tell our children because we fail to see the goodness that is in them. But the Prophet ﷺ was someone, even though he was being persecuted and tortured, him and that small group of Muslims in the city of Mecca, they were being persecuted and tortured by non-Muslims, that still did not stop him from seeing goodness in non-Muslims. Meaning he did not paint everybody with a broad brush. He did not do to the non-Muslims what non-Muslims do to us as Muslims. They're all terrorists. Get rid of all of them. That's their outlook. That's their paradigm, not ours. Our religion teaches us to see good in people, to take good from people. And the Prophet ﷺ, he recognized the good in Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, even before Umar saw the good within his own self. The Prophet ﷺ, he made dua for many non-Muslims, and he was the cause of many of their conversion to Islam. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allahumma a'izz al-Islam بأحب هذين رجلين إليك بأبي جهل أو بعمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه. وفي رواية قال بأحب عمرين عمرو ابن هشام يعني أبا جهل أو عمر ibn Khattab رضي الله عنه. The Prophet ﷺ supplicated, he said, "Oh Allah, Allahumma a'izz al-Islam, make Islam strong, make Islam mighty, with one of the two Umars that is most dear to you, either Umar ibn Khattab or Amr ibn Hisham, يعني Abu Jahl." That although Abu Jahl, the Fir'aun of this ummah, the Prophet ﷺ still supplicated to Allah that if Allah saw him fit to be a Muslim and guide him to Islam, don't play with that. That if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw it fit for him to be guided to Islam, to guide him. Subhanallah, can you imagine the level of optimism that the Prophet ﷺ had, even with someone who was responsible for killing many of the Sahaba? And the Prophet ﷺ saw that although Abu Jahl, a Fir'aun to this ummah, he still had a strength with him. He still had influence. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him to Islam, he would be an asset to our religion. Subhanallah, think about the optimism of the Prophet ﷺ. You can't lead people if you don't have optimism. If you are a pessimist, you cannot lead people. Because your mind is always going to go to the darkest places instead of the brightest places. He said, "Oh Allah, guide the most two of these individuals that is more dear to you, or will be most beneficial to Islam, either Amr ibn Hisham, meaning Abu Jahl, or Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu ta'ala anhu." And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided Umar ibn Khattab to Islam, seeing Umar as being the better of the two. Allah responded to the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. قال عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله تعالى عنه: ما زلنا أعزة منذ أن أسلم عمر. وفي رواية قال كان إسلام عمر فتحا وكانت هجرته نصرا وكانت إمارته رحمة. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that we have never ceased to remain superior and mighty as a ummah from the moment that Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu embraced Islam. From the moment he entered into Islam, we have never ceased to remain a force to be reckoned with. These are people who come into Islam and see themselves indebted to this religion. Not like today where people convert to Islam and they see Islam owes them a debt, that the Muslim community owes them, that we are indebted to them because they embraced Islam. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Bedouin Arabs who thought that their embracing Islam was a benefit to Islam, وَقَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. And the A'rab, the Bedouin Arabs, they used to say, "We believe," meaning as if it's a benefit to Islam that they're believers. قُلْ لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. Don't say you believe, but say that you have just submitted. And in the end of the ayat of Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَمُنُّونَ عَلَيْكَ أَنْ أَسْلَمُوا. They consider their Islam as a benefit to you. قُلْ لَا تَمُنَّ عَلَيَّ إِسْلَامَكُمْ. Don't consider your Islam a benefit to me. بَلِ اللَّهُ يَمُنُّ عَلَيْكُمْ أَنْ هَدَاكُمْ لِلْإِيمَانِ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. No, consider Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guiding you to Islam to be a benefit if indeed you are truthful and sincere. You're not doing Islam a favor. You're not doing the Muslim community a favor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing you a favor. Allah, out of all of the people in the world, guided you to Islam. For no benefit, for no virtue within you, purely out of His rahmah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, we have never ceased to remain a mighty force from the moment that Umar embraced Islam. In another narration, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, Kana Islam Umar fathan. He said the Islam, the acceptance of Islam of Umar ibn Khattab was a victory for the Muslims. His Islam was a victory for the Muslims. Who many times today we will see people who are rappers and actors and singers embrace Islam, and then off we go, lighting up the internet with praises of this person becoming a Muslim, and they do nothing for Islam. Nothing. We praise them. Oh, mashallah, this singer is Muslim. Mashallah, this rapper is Muslim. Mashallah, this actor is Muslim. And they do nothing for the religion of Islam. Umar radiallahu anhu embraced Islam, and Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, Kana Islamu Umar fathan. that the Islam of Umar was a victory for the Muslims. وَكَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ نَصْرًا. And his hijrah, his migration from Mecca to Medina with the believers was an aid, it was a help to the religion. وَكَانَتْ إِمَارَتُهُ رَحْمَةً. And his leadership over the Muslims when he became the Khalifa was a rahmah, was a mercy. All of what we consider Muslim lands today, from Damascus all the way to Iran, was conquered by Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala. From Damascus, from Syria, all the way to Iran, by the hands of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala. Tell me that was not a nasr, an aid and a support to the religion of Al-Islam. And subhanAllah, some of those lands, Muslims in some of those lands, condemned Umar bin Khattab and actually considered him a kafir. Namely the Shia. SubhanAllah.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Not all of them. But those of who have ghulu, who have extreme in their beliefs, absolutely. Nonetheless, some may view the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, guide the two most beloved Umars to you, guide them to Islam, that they may misconstrue this to mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the kuffar. That is not what the hadith means. When the Prophet ﷺ said, أَحَبَّ عُمَرَيْنِ إِلَيْكَ وَأَحَبَّ رَجُلَيْنِ إِلَيْكَ, the most beloved of the two to you, it means أَفْضَلَهُمَا, whichever one of them is best to you, whichever one of them has the most virtue in your sight, O Allah, then guide them. And it doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves kufr, because disbelief is not all on the same level. لَيْسَ الْكُفْرَ عَلَى دَرَجَةِ الْوَاحِدَةِ. That kufr is not on the same level as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran about the Christians. لَيْسُوا سَوَاءً. They are not all the same. مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ أُمَّةٌ قَائِمَةٌ يَتْلُونَ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ آنَاءَ اللَّيْلِ وَهُمْ يَسْجُدُونَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَيُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ali Imran that they are not all the same, meaning the Christians. لَيْسُوا سَوَاءً. They're not all the same. From amongst Ahlul Kitab, from amongst the people of the book, Jews and Christians, are ummas, are communities that stand and they recite the verses of Allah, and they stand at night while they prostrate. They believe in Allah, they believe in the hereafter, and they enjoin what is good and forbid what is evil. And they work towards what is good, and these are the righteous. They're not all the same. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in another authentic hadith, تجدون الناس معادن خيارهم في الجاهلية خيارهم في الإسلام إذا فقهوا. The Prophet ﷺ said that you will find people, you will find the behavior and the characteristics of people, كالمعادن, like the metals that the earth produces. The earth produces gold, it produces silver, it produces iron, and all of these different metals. And these different metals, according to human beings, are viewed in different lights. Some precious, some not so precious. You will find human beings the same exact way. But the best of them in Jahiliyyah, the best of them prior to Islam, will be the best of them in Islam, provided they get an understanding of the religion. Provided they get an understanding of the religion. So Umar radiallahu anhu, he became that person in Islam. He accepted the religion of Islam in the 6th year after the Prophet ﷺ received the first revelation, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. And this was 3 days after the acceptance of Islam by the Prophet ﷺ's uncle, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. So 3 days after Hamza embraced Islam, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu embraces Islam. And he embraced Islam at the hands of his sister Fatima bint al-Khattab. Fatima, his sister, called him to Islam, standing firm in her belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the very day that Umar embraced Islam, this religion was never the same. This is the type of energy that we are missing today in our communities. Where are our Umar ibn al-Khattabs today? Where is that bold energy that comes in contact with the heart? As Hiraql, he said to Abu Sufyan, when he asked Abu Sufyan, these followers of Muhammad, does any of them leave Islam after they embrace it? هل يرتد أحد منهم عن دينه بغتة لدينه? Does any one of the followers of Muhammad leave his religion after they embrace it out of hatred for the religion? And Abu Sufyan said no. And Hiraql, he said, وَذَلِكَ إِيمَانْ إِذَا خَالَتَ بَشَاشَةَ الْقُلُوبِ. He said that is what happens when the heart comes in contact with pure faith. People remain firm. ثَابِتْ عَلَى دِينِهِمْ. People remain firm on their religion when true faith comes in contact with the heart. لما أسلم عمر قال لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The day that Umar embraced Islam, let me show you where his mind was from the first day he embraced Islam. Many people, and then we understand everybody's journey towards righteousness is different. Everybody's path is different, although the destination is the same. What is going to work for me may not work for someone else. However, there should be some type of, enthusiasm and vigor of the person when they embrace Islam to want to practice this religion. And what we're seeing today, many people embrace Islam and they're waiting for the religion to fall in their lap. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years after embracing Islam. And we're still struggling to do the bare minimum, the basics of the religion. Waiting for the religion to fall in your lap instead of picking the religion up, asking Allah for His success and moving forward without looking back. But you have many people who embrace Islam and they will sit 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years go by. You still haven't memorized Al-Fatiha. You still don't know the last juz of the Quran. You still don't know who Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is. But we learn everything else. Everything else is important. You know how much money you have in your bank account. You know who won the Super Bowl. You know everything else. But the bare minimum of the religion, we're still waiting for that to fall upon us. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the first day he embraced Islam, he said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Ya Rasulullah. He said, O Messenger of Allah, Alasna ala al-haq in mutna wa hayyayna. He said, aren't we on the truth whether we live or we die? Aren't we the ones that's on the truth, whether we live or we die? And the Prophet ﷺ said, Bala, walladhi nafsi biyadi, innakum la ala al-haq in muttum wa hayaytum. He said, he said, of course you are. He said, I swear by the one in whose hands my soul is in, you are on the truth whether you live or you die. Then Umar said to the Prophet ﷺ, فَفِيمَ الْإِخْتِفَاءِ. He said, then why are we hiding? What are we hiding for? فَفِيمَ الْإِخْتِفَاءِ. Why are we hiding? If you are on the truth, why are we hiding our Islam? Why do we walk into an establishment and your name is Muhammad and you say, no, call me Mo? Your name is Ibrahim, but you choose another name. Why are we hiding our Islam? He asked the Prophet ﷺ a simple question. فَفِيمَ الْإِخْتِفَاءِ. Why are we hiding if we're on the truth? Whether we live or die, why are we hiding? He said, وَالَّذِي بَعَثَكَ بِالْحَقِّ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. He said, I swear by the one who sent you with the truth, O Messenger of Allah, لَتَخْرُجَنَّ. لَتَخْرُجَنَّ. You are going to go out in public and you are going to proclaim your faith in public without any fear. This is Umar, the first day he embraced Islam. Ruffling feathers from the very first day that he embraced Islam. And many of us, we want a smooth ride. Our neighbors next door to us don't even know that we're Muslim. We want a smooth ride. We don't want any ruffled feathers. He said, I swear by the one who sent you with the truth, that تَخْرُجَنَّ. You are going to go out and proclaim your faith in public. He said, فَخَرَجْنَا صَفَّيْن حَمْزَةَ ibn Abdul Muttalib في أحدهما وأنا في الآخر. He said, so we left out in two groups. Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib at the front of one group, and I at the front of another group. This is a force to be reckoned with. Quraysh was not prepared for this. They were not prepared for this. And the sad thing about it is that the Muslims were prepared for that. They were prepared for that energy. The non-Muslims weren't prepared for that energy. And today, non-Muslims are prepared for that energy, while Muslims are not prepared for that energy. If one emerges from amongst us and has the ability to influence, we will stop him. Muslims, we will stop him. We will criticize him. We'll condemn him. We'll superimpose on him our views, our perspective, whether it is mustanad ila Quran wa Sunnah or ila ahwa'ina, whether it is connected to the Quran and the Sunnah or whether it's connected to our own desires. We will destroy your honor. The non-Muslims don't need to do it. We'll do it. Because we're not prepared to embrace that energy. We're not prepared for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise one from amongst us that is going to speak truth to power. We are not prepared for that. They are. They are prepared for it. But we are our own worst enemies, subhanAllah. As Muslims, as a community, we are our own worst enemy. But they left out in two groups, Hamza at the front of one group and Umar bin Khattab at the head of another group. He said, حَتَّى دَخَلْنَا الْمَسْجِدِ, until we entered into the sanctuary of the Haram. فَنَظَرَتْ إِلَيَّ الْقُرَيْشِ وَإِلَى حَمْزَةَ فَأَصَابَتْهُمْ كَآبَةٌ لَمْ يُصِبْهُمْ مِثْلَهَا وَسَمَّانِي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ذلك اليوم الفاروق يفرق الله به بين الحق والباطل. Allahu Akbar. He said, we walked right up to the Kaaba. He said, and Quraysh was looking at me and looking at Hamza, and they knew they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything but stare, because the boldness, the audacity of Umar. When you have an individual that is audacious like this, you can't do anything but sit back and just stare in awe, because you can't believe that someone would have the audacity to do that. Power concedes nothing without a demand. Power concedes nothing without a demand. That means that you can be strong and be powerful all you want. If you don't demand respect for that power, you will never get it. So we can claim that we're Muslims, we're on the haq, we're on this, we're on that, everyone else is on falsehood. If we don't demand respect for it, it means nothing. You can sit in your home and say, we're Muslims, they're kuffar, they're on batil, we're on the haq, and it means absolutely nothing if you don't demand respect for it. Power concedes nothing without a demand. And many of us would like to sit on Islam as if, mashallah, we are the chosen people. And some of the Jews said to the Prophet ﷺ's companions, the Sahaba said to a group from amongst the Jews, from Bani Israel, they said, إِنَّكُمْ أَنْتُمُ الْقَوْمِ لَوْلَا تُنَدِّدُونَ تَقُولُونَ أُزَيْرَ ibn Allah. تَقُولُونَ Uzair ibn Allah. The Sahaba, they said to a group of the Jews that you were the chosen people. إِنَّكُمْ لَأَنْتُمُ الْقَوْمِ. You used to be the chosen people. لَوْلَا تُنَدِّدُونَ. If you didn't commit shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, تَقُولُونَ Uzair ibn Allah. You say that Uzair is the son of Allah. And Bani Israel, they retorted to the Sahaba. They said, إِنَّكُمْ لَأَنْتُمُ الْقَوْمِ لَوْلَا تُنَدِّدُونَ تَقُولُونَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ مُحَمَّدٌ. They said, you used to be the chosen people, but you commit shirk too. You say, MashaAllah and Masha Muhammad, whatever Allah wills and whatever Muhammad wills. And the Sahaba went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, they were right. Only say MashaAllah, this. Don't say MashaAllah and Masha Muhammad. Say MashaAllah wahda, alone. This correction came from Bani Israel to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, showing you that you can have the haqq all day long. Power concedes nothing without a demand for it. So we can't sit back and say we're Muslims and we're on the truth and everyone else is on falsehood without calling to it and implementing it in our lives and establishing it in our communities. It means absolutely nothing. But when they came in front of the Kaaba and they made takbir, Allahu Akbar, the Quraysh could do nothing but stare in awe. The audacity of these individuals. And these are people who have no fear of any man, of any system, any organization except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا يخاف في الله لومة لائم. Doesn't fear the fault of those who find fault. Fears only none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they had never been stricken with this level of fear and intrepidation before. And the Prophet ﷺ called Umar on that day Al-Faruq. You are Al-Faruq, the one that Allah is going to use to separate truth from falsehood. Allahu Akbar. His first day in Islam. Not 10 years after he's been Muslim, after he had 1 foot in Islam, 1 foot in the dunya, until he realizes that there's no running from Allah except running to Allah. Everywhere you turn, you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there. You can't run from Him. Some of us go on a long journey. We embrace Islam, and then we go on this long journey until we realize there's no running from Allah. لا مفر من الله سبحانه وتعالى إلا إليه. There's no running from Allah except running to Him. And then we realize at that moment that I need to just be full Muslim, both feet in Islam. And that's after how many years done passed. I'm not finding fault with anyone's journey. But what I'm finding fault with is the energy that we are lacking in our ummah for people to say that they are upon the truth. He said the Prophet ﷺ called me from that day Al-Faruq. يُفَرِّقُ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ. The one who Allah is going to use to separate truth from falsehood. And Umar radiallahu anhu, his death would have the same impact on this ummah and communities that to come after all the way up into our time today. Hudayfa told Umar radiallahu anhu, he need not worry about the trials and tribulations of the latter ummah, the latter part of our ummah, the trials and tribulations of the last day that will affect our ummah, as the Prophet ﷺ promised. Hudayfa told Umar, you need not worry about that. He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, inna baynaka wa baynaha baban mughlaqa. He said, O leader of the believers, between you and the fitna that will afflict our ummah, between you and that fitna is a door. It's a gate. Mughlaqan, locked. And Umar asked, Afa yuksar al-bab am yuftah? He said, will this door, will this gate be broken or will it be opened? And they said, Qala bal yuksar. They said, no, this gate is going to be broken. Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, ذَلِكَ أَخْرَى أَنْ لَا يُغْلَقْ أَبَدًا. He said, then in that case, when the door is broken, it will never be closed again. And when fitna happened in this ummah all the way up until our time today, and we keep splintering off into group after group after group after group. Al-Shabab, Al-Qaeda, Al-Fulan, Al-Fulan, Al-Fulan. We keep splintering off. Shia, Sufi, Fulan, splintering off into group, into group, into group. And we will continue to splinter off into group. As the Prophet ﷺ said, افترق اليهود على 71 فرقة وافترقت النصارى على 72 فرقة وستفترق هذه الأمة على 73 فرقة كلها في النار إلا واحدة. He said the Christians, the Jews, they split their religion into 71 different sects. The Christians, they split their religion into 72 different sects. He said, and my ummah, my community, will split into 73 different sects. كلها في النار, all of them in the hellfire with the exception of one. And the Sahaba asked him, "Men hum ya Rasulullah?" Who is that one? He said, "Men kana ala mithli ma ana alayhi al-yawm wa ashabi." Those who are upon what I am upon today and my companions. And as that great scholar of Islam said, "Ma lam yakun dinan yawma idhan lan yakun dinan." Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, Malik ibn Anas, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the ayah, "Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا." This day I have completed my favor upon you, and I perfected for you your religion. I am pleased with Islam as your religion. Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, what was not a part of the religion on the day that ayat was revealed, لَنْ يَكُنْ دِينًا, will never be a part of our religion. I don't care how beautiful it looks in your eyes. I don't care how beautiful and what your perspective is. If it was not a part of the religion on the day that ayat was revealed, that ayat ended all of the ahkam of Islam. There were no more halal and haram after that ayat was revealed. That ayat completed the sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala said, what was part of the religion on that day will never be a part of the religion. So the Sahaba asked Hudayfa, هل كان عمر يعلم من الباب? Did Umar know who that door was between fitna and that person? Did Umar know who the person was? And Hudayfa said, قال نعم كما يعلم أن دون غدي ليلة. He said, just like he knew that last night from today, he knew that Umar knew that he was that door. And when Umar radiallahu anhu was murdered, this ummah has never been the same. Just like from the day he embraced Islam, this ummah has never been the same. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بما جاء فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم. أقول ما تسمعون أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على دين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له إقرارا به وتوحيدا. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سراجا منيرا. The point here, brothers and sisters, is that sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala plans, and sometimes Allah's plan is exactly in accordance with our plan, is exactly in accordance or aligned with our lives. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is greater than ours, even though His plan still includes us. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is aligned with the plan that we have. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is greater than the plan that we had for ourselves, even though His plan still includes us. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu could have never prepared for the journey that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had planned for him. Just as many of us are not prepared, or we're not prepared when we come into a level of consciousness, we're not prepared for the plan that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for us. When you look at your life where you are right now, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you could have never thought that this is where you would be in your life, doing exactly what you're doing right now. But you are here. You're here, and this is the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah works through His creation to accomplish His will subhanahu wa ta'ala, and His will be accomplished. Despite our aversion and our attempt to thwart Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, because we want to establish our will. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدِهِ خَيْرًا اسْتَعْمَلَهُ. That when Allah wants good for His servant, He uses him. He uses him. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you are functioning in a capacity wherein you are a guide to someone, whether that someone is your children, whether that someone is someone in your family, whether that someone is a non-Muslim that is working alongside of you, and by you not actually even saying anything to the person is watching your behavior, watching your actions, and how you conduct yourself, and as a result of that, Allah is working through you, even though that was not something that you had planned. It was not a part of your agenda, but it was part of the agenda of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدِهِ خَيْرًا اسْتَعْمَلَهُ. That when Allah wants good for His servant, He uses him. Imam al-Ghazali, in explaining this, he said, إِذَا أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ عَبْدٍ اسْتَعْمَلَهُ فِي الْأَوْقَاتِ الْفَاضِلَةِ بِفَوَاضِلِ الْأَعْمَالِ وَإِذَا مَقَتَهُ يعني كَرِهَهُ أو أبغضه استعمله في الأوقات الفاضلة بسيء أعماله ليكون ذلك أوجع في عتابه وأشد لمقته. انتهى كلامه رحمه الله تعالى. Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, he said in his explanation of this, he said that if Allah loves His servant, He uses him. He uses him in the most virtuous of times with the most virtuous of deeds. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes a servant of His, hates a servant of His, He uses him in good times with the worst of deeds. He uses him in virtuous times, times where people are gathering for khair, and then you'll have one individual from amongst us who disrupts and interrupts everything that we're trying to do. That is an indication that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes you. That here the ummah is moving in a certain direction upon khair, upon good. And then here comes this one individual to go opposite, go against the grain. That is an indication that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like you, is displeased with you, because Allah uses you in good times with your bad deeds to upset what is happening, as a fitna, as a test for the rest of the ummah. As Allah says in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً أَتَصْبِرُونَ. We have made some of you a fitna for others. Just be patient. Some of you are a fitna for others. Just be patient. And while we observe the events played out in the life of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, incident after incident, sometimes we fail to overlook or we fail to see the journey within the journey. That Umar's conversion to Islam, his migration along with the Prophet ﷺ, his battles, his fighting alongside the Prophet ﷺ was all a part of the greater journey that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for each and every one of us. Everything that we are doing right now in this world, moving up the ladder in our lives, whether in your careers, whether in your spirituality, whatever level in your life you are trying to get to, all right, that is only a journey within the journey, because the greater journey out beyond that is the journey within inside of you. This journey within inside of you, داخل في كل إنسان, within each and every individual. And his first khutbah as the Khalifa exposes us to his own personal journey to confront the things that haunt most of us, and that is our demons. To confront the things that we try to change about ourselves. We paint a picture of ourselves like we're perfect to the world, when in fact we have demons that we need to deal with inside. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, during his khutbah, he exposes us to the journey that he made. So while we were reading books about him, while we were watching videos about Umar bin Khattab, and we see this great leader, what we didn't see was the journey within the journey. When the Prophet ﷺ died, قال عمر جاء أبو بكر فكشف عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقبله فقال يا رسول الله بأبي أنت وأمي طبت حيا وميتا والذي نفسي بيدي لا يذيقك الله الموتة أبدا موتتين أبدا. That when the Prophet ﷺ died, just want to give you this glimpse here at the changing of the ummah after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet ﷺ died, Abu Bakr came and he removed the cloth from the face of the Prophet ﷺ. This was his companion. This was his best friend in Jahiliyyah. He never worshipped idols. He was his companion with him along in the cave. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlighted this in the Quran. إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. Allah captured that in the Quran. That when he was in the cave with his companion and he turned to him and he said, don't grieve, don't fear, for indeed Allah is with us. This was the Prophet ﷺ consoling Abu Bakr. This was his companion along the journey. When they were leaving Mecca heading towards Medina, Abu Bakr was standing in front of the Prophet and then behind him and then on his right and on his left. And the Prophet ﷺ said to Abu Bakr, it is as if you are in fear of, you're being shot with an arrow. You keep moving around me. And he said, oh Messenger of Allah, I'm not in fear of dying. I'm in fear of an arrow hitting you and you dying. I'm moving around to make sure that if anything comes from any direction, it hit me instead of you. This is his companion. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu removed the cloth from the face of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he kissed him. And he said, I swear, may my mother and my father be a ransom for you. You were good in life just as you're good in death. And he said, I swear by Allah, by the one in whose hands my soul is in, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never let you taste death twice. Allah will never let you taste death twice. And Umar radiallahu anhu, later on, after the 2 years that Abu Bakr, who was only the Khalifa for 2 years, and then Umar radiallahu anhu became the Khalifa. Umar, he got on the minbar and he gave his first khutbah. And he said, Ya ayyuhan nas, he said, oh people, قَدْ بَلَغَنِي أَنَّ النَّاسِ هَابُوا شِدَّتِي وَخَافُوا غِلْظَتِي. He said, it reached me that some people are in fear of my rigidity, of how rigid I am, and how stern I am, and how firm I am. He said, وَقَالُوا قَدْ كَانَ عُمَرَ يَشْتَدُّ عَلَيْنَا وَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ بَيْنَ أَظْهُرِنَا. He said people were saying that Umar was shadid, was rigid and harsh with us and tough with us, even while the Prophet ﷺ was here. ثُمَّ اشْتَدَّ عَلَيْنَا وَأَبُو بَكْرٍ حَيًّا. And then he became more rigid with us even while Abu Bakr was alive. فَكَيْفَ وَقَدْ صَارَتَ الْأُمُورُ إِلَيْهِ الْآنِ. So how is Umar going to be now, while now he is our leader? They are afraid. Because what they saw was one journey. They saw one journey. They saw Umar, come at the Prophet ﷺ at times. The Prophet was going to pray over the hypocrite, Abdullah bin Ubay ibn Salul. He grabbed him by his throat. He said, Ya Rasulullah, you can't pray over him. And the Prophet ﷺ turned to Umar and said, Ya Umar, akhir anni. Back away from me, Umar. He said, Inni la wallahi la usalli alayhi hatta unha an. He said, I will continue to pray over him until Allah prohibits me from doing so. Get off of me. This is Umar, how bold he was, even with the Prophet ﷺ. And now he's the Khalifa. He's the leader. All of the affairs of the Muslims is in the hands of this individual. People are afraid. But what they saw was one journey. And they didn't realize that along with Umar's journey, there was another internal journey that he was going through. So after Umar began to address the grievances of the people, he said, Man qala dhalika faqad sadaq. Whoever from amongst you says this about me, you're absolutely right. He said, Kuntu bayna yaday an-nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sayfan maslulan. He said that when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was alive, I was like an unsheathed sword. When you take the sword out of the sheath, I was an exposed blade. Kuntu kasayf maslulan. Yes, I was. He said, فَكُنْتُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ حَتَّى تَوَفَّاهُ اللَّهُ. And I was like that until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him back. He said, ثُمَّ وَلَّى أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَبُو بَكْرَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ فَكُنْتُ خَادِمَهُ وَعَوْنَهُ أُخَلِّتْ شِدَّتِي بِلِينِهِ يعني لين أبي بكر رضي الله عنه فأكون سيفا مسلولا. He said, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed over your affairs Abu Bakr. He said, and when Abu Bakr was your leader, I used to mix my harshness with the gentleness of Abu Bakr. أُخَلِّتْ بَيْنَ شِدَّتِي وَلِينِهِ. I used to mix my rigidity, my strength, my harshness with the gentleness of Abu Bakr. He said, فَأَكُونُ سَيْفًا مَسْلُولًا. But I was still like an unsheathed sword. He said, ثُمَّ إِنِّي قَدْ وُلِيتُ الْأُمُورَكُمْ. He said, and now I am the leader over your affairs. أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ تِلْكَ الشِّدَّةِ قَدْ أُضْعِفَتْ. He said, O people, know that this harshness that I had with me, قَدْ أُضْعِفَتْ, it has weakened. It's gotten weaker. It's not as firm. It's not as vigorous as it used to be. It has weakened. He said, وَلَكِنَّهَا إِنَّمَا تَكُونُ عَلَى أَهْلِ الظُّلْمِ وَالتَّعَدِّي عَلَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ. He said, but my rigidity, my shiddah, my harshness will only be reserved for those who oppress the Muslims and transgress against the rights of the Muslims. He said, أَمَّا أَهْلُ السَّلَامَ وَالدِّينِ. But as for those who wish for peace and just want to practice their religion, he said, فَأَنَا أَلِينُ لَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْضِهِمْ لِبَعْضٍ. And I will be gentle and lenient with them as they are with one another. Allahu Akbar. He got it. All of the Umar, stop. Umar, fear Allah. All of the things the Prophet ﷺ had to correct him. He heard a man reciting a certain surah different than the way that he memorized it. He grabbed the individual by his throat and dragged him to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, Ya Rasulullah, he's reciting a surah that you taught me, but not like you taught me. Umar is narrating the hadith. He said, Kuntu aradtu an alubbahu wa ana fi salat. He said, I wanted to grab him by his neck while I was in the salat. Umar saying this to himself while he's in the salat. Because he is reciting in a different lahja. He's reciting in a different mode of recitation other than what the Prophet ﷺ taught Umar. And when Umar dragged him to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet told him, Umar, let him go. Da'u ya Umar. Let him go. And he told Umar, Iqra, read. And he said that the Quran has been revealed in 7 different modes of recitation. You're right, and you're right. When Khattab ibn Abi Balta'a wrote a letter to the chiefs of Quraysh telling them that the Prophet ﷺ was coming to attack Mecca. And Allah revealed to the Prophet ﷺ that Khattab did that. And the Prophet called Khattab and he asked him, why did you do this, Khattab? And he said, Ya Rasulullah. He said, relax, O Messenger of Allah. I didn't do this out of kufr because I'm a disbeliever, or irtaddan an dini because I'm turning away from my religion, I apostated from my deen, or because of my love for the kuffar. He said, I did it because I have family, I have businesses in Mecca, and I am not from Quraysh. And I feared that when your companions got to Mecca, that they were not going to have mercy upon anybody except those who were from Quraysh. Legitimate argument. Umar radiallahu anhu, he stood up, he said, Ya Rasulullah, da'ni adrib unuq hadha munafiq. He said, O Messenger of Allah, leave me and let me strike the neck of that hypocrite. The Prophet said, no, Umar, no, it's not a hypocrite. He participated in the battle of Badr. Didn't you hear what Allah said about the people who participated in the battle of Badr? If a'lu ma shi'tum qad ghafartu lakum. Do as you please, I've forgiven you. So all of these incidents where the Prophet ﷺ is correcting Umar, no, Umar, stop. Umar, fear Allah. Umar, do this. He was learning from that. And when he finally became the Khalifa, he explained to the people, and we can derive from that khutbah, that there was a journey within the journey. We saw one journey, but there was another journey that was happening on the inside. And this is the same that applies to all of us. That as we're trying to get up for Salatul Fajr, as we're trying to make it to the masjid on time, that's just one journey. But then there's another journey within each and every one of us to be more conscious of Allah, to be more pious and be more fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stop ourselves from doing the things that we know that is wrong. There's a journey within the journey that people are not aware of, that only we are aware of. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us much success, tawfiq, with the journey that we are all having. Every person that you meet, brothers and sisters, is going through something. Everybody that you come in contact with in your life is going through something. Be merciful to people. Be merciful to yourself. Be merciful to people. Be merciful to yourselves. Everybody that you meet is going through something, is struggling through something, toiling through something. And the last thing that people need is for someone outside of themselves to make their lives more difficult than what they have already made for themselves. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. أقول ما تسمعون أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة. Okay. And brothers, as we line up for the prayer, keep Brother Bassam's mom in your prayer, mother-in-law, in your prayer, inshallah. Please mention her in your sujood, inshallah ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala restore her health to her.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله إلى الصلاة إلى الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر